The title of the article says, Coast Guard wants river barges to ship fracking water. Now, that might seem a little shocking to people who are familiar with fracking and familiar with the environment and care about the environment. This article goes on to say, this article discusses how the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard, not a private entity, the public U.S. Coast Guard, has been suggesting and has been lobbying for fracking water to be transported through river barges instead of the traditional means which is being used right now of tractor trailers and other big trucks shipping across highways, across roads, physical land, and not in water. Now, it seems like a good idea. The article explains that there are already. The article explains as a defense for the industry claims that there's already millions of tons of radioactive and toxic chemicals already being shipped on America's rivers. So what's the difference if you add some fracking water? So not that we don't have toxic radioactive human-killing material in our boats, but everyone else does too, so why don't you let us do it? That's the mentality that is being pushed, and there's no pushback against it. Nobody is saying that is not an adequate defense of your argument. That is nowhere near an adequate defense to say that, well, other people do it. The oil industry does it. Oil waste gets transported on the river. So why can't fracking water? Well, number one, who's going to make sure that the fracking water is in the boat? When it leaves Pennsylvania and it gets down to Texas and Louisiana, which is where the final processing plants are supposed to be, who is going to make sure that every bit of water inside of it has the same percentages of compounds in them? Who's to say that they're not going to let out thousands of gallons of radioactive material, radioactive water, intentional spills all the way down the Ohio, the Monongahela, and the Mississippi River? Who's to say that they're not going to release these things and fill their boat back up with regular river water as to skirt any extra charges or any extra costs that it might give them to adequately dispose of it? So in order to not adequately dispose of it, I guarantee you right now that they will be dumping fracking water into the rivers in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Mississippi. It will happen, and when it does happen, people will say that it's an accident, it was a mistake, this wasn't intentional. Just like when all of the trucks, now the current system, trucks are being used, when all of these trucks end up having discrepancies in the amount of water and the amount of liquid that's inside of them when they reach processing plants as from when they left the original sites in Pennsylvania. No one questions this. Oh, well, the stuff disappeared. Where did it go? It goes on our highways. It gets spilled out. It gets like some crazy person that dumps trash on the side of the road. That's what we're dealing with in the United States right now. We have a society, we have a system set up that controls society, a corporate structure that is acting like an absentee landlord, which is acting like some type of crazy person that's spilling the oil, that's throwing the feces out the front window onto the front steps. You can't do that. You can't shit where you eat. And us in Pennsylvania, we're not going to tolerate shipping radioactive, human-killing fracking water through our rivers. It's absurd.